Hello and welcome. I am Adri Gregan, and I am back for Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Today we're getting into Season 1, Episode 26, and it is the third to final episode. And last time we had quite the climactic, I hesitate to say finish to the second test because there's still other things we have to do. We still have to deal with the actual creature that's responsible for creating all these clones, and we still have Zenza's clone as well as all the other clones we haven't seen. One of them being Denkin as well, who's quite the formidable fighter. And we've just got a whole lot of things converging on us. So while we've defeated Frieren's clone, I get the sneaking suspicion that the test isn't quite over yet, and we might honestly just have one whole episode left of this exam. I swear, if this exam goes on for the rest of the season, I'm not going to be upset, but it is going to be crazy because this is already quite a long arc, especially in Frieren terms. So yeah, I'm really excited whoever it does, though, because whatever it does quite well. I've previously likened Frieren to the King Midas of anime, and I wouldn't say it's disproving that anytime soon. As for the episode itself, the recap is pretty straightforward. That we strategized to defeat Frieren, and then we defeated Frieren, or her clone, I should say. And we also had a rather significant flashback, both in time and in thematic depth, and also in character development, because we got a lot of Zedia through the flashback. There's quite a few things about this flashback that makes it work. On the actual substance level, it does a lot to develop the characters of Zedia and of Frieren, as well as of Flamma, even though she's already gone by the time of the flashback. It also just builds on the idea of legacy and of humans, despite or perhaps because of their short lifespans, desiring to make a change in the world and thus to taking the steps effectively necessary to do that, to leave a legacy that often outlasts the elves that they grow up around or even raised. And Flamma really does that. She's considered basically the grandmother, if you would, of modern magic and of humanity's magic, right? And that's no small feat. And that's in large part due to her limited lifespan, the lifespan of a human. So it touches on some very familiar and very important themes of Frieren as a show, and it also builds on the characters that we've also originally gotten to know and love, and some that we are only recently meeting, i.e. Zedia. I think one of the most interesting things about this flashback, though, to me, is its placement in the episode, and how something that should be really jarring, a extended flashback sequence right before the grand finale of a super important fight, is handled so carefully and so intentionally. So, naturally, one of the big gripes, especially in the anime community, or especially towards anime, I should say, is that it really likes its flashbacks, right? Anime loves its flashback sequences, especially to break up or to drag out anime fights. Anime fights, of course, they're in anime, to drag out their fight scenes, right? And that's something that's criticized a lot, and often it's, I would say, justifiably criticized. Generally, this is something used to get in touch with a character and to relate with them and to sympathize with them, especially if it's a character who's either about to die or it's like an antagonist and they want you to care about them right before they're defeated. What Frieren does here, though, is quite unusual. It has a flashback right before the basically final strike, right, that defeats the clone. At least we presume defeated the clone. We didn't really see the outcome of it because the episode ended a little bit abruptly. What Frieren does, and what I find so fascinating and impressive about this flashback and about this storyboarding, is it uses that flashback not to explain away something or to build up characters, but instead to build out the themes of magic, of succession, and of why Fern is basically the only person who is fit to defeat this clone Frieren at the moment. The idea that humans are accepting the torch of magic basically from the elves indirectly through Flamma, and even Zedia 1,000 years ago predicted that there were only one of two things would be able to defeat Frieren: the Demon Lord or a human. And of course, it's so fitting that not only is it a human, it's a human that Frieren herself trained, that is incredibly inspired and motivated by Frieren. And somebody that we've seen admitted throughout the show by Frieren herself that her special qualities, her best qualities when it comes to combat, i.e., her speed and her ability to sneak around, are things that Frieren can't really compete with. So a lot of things lined up and made it absolutely perfect and satisfying that Frieren was the one to. Sorry, Fern was the one to defeat Frieren, or at least her clone. Now, it's on that topic that I wanted to bring up one of my larger criticisms of the episode, and one that has largely sustained itself through the you guys, the IPPC, commenting and clarifying things for me. And with that, I want to get into the comment of the day. Today's comment is by Wow Horak. For the first thing I want to talk about here, I could have pinned pretty much any comment in this video, because last time I did ask you guys to help explain to me the detecting mana thing, or specifically Frieren stopping detecting mana when she uses spells. I thought I was missing something. I thought there was something in the presentation, something behind that big reveal that makes it something you could have seen coming, or something that you were able to catch if you had enough of an eagle eye. Unfortunately, it seems that was not the case. This is more of a reveal, not in the sense of what Frieren's weakness is, but in how magic, I suppose, works, and a common weakness of magic, where people stop detecting mana when casting spells, and how detecting mana is something that is like a sonar. It's something that you actively do, like sending out, like echolocation, right? Sending out a frequency to have it bounce off things and come back. That's what mana detection is similar to in this world. And that's not something we've really been exposed to until now, so I guess this is kind of part exposition explaining this part of the world to us. Now, I believe it was Mr. Light did leave a comment, and in this comment he explained that we have actually seen something like this before. It's been hinted at when Frieren noticed that Denkin was able to detect her in the first test when she used her magic cast to catch the stele. There was one very subtle passing reference to the idea that people can tell when you detect mana. An idea that outside of the show is a little strange, at least to me, because detecting mana is generally like an internal thing, at least in most worlds of Magic that I've seen. So that was a little unusual for me. But you guys did clear that up, that it's like an active thing, and that's why when Fern attacked Frieren and Frieren blocked it, they were able to tell that she couldn't detect mana anymore. And that's interesting. The thing I don't really like about this is that really the time and place here. The fact that this is sort of a reveal of this ability, and judging from some comments, it sounds like it's going to be built out in season 2 more, or like properly explained, which is also kind of weird because this is not really the time or place to be showing out some cool new aspect of your magic system, new respectively. Because this is like a climactic battle, right? This is a moment they've been building up to. Even just this episode, like half the episode is spent planning and getting ready and figuring out how to fight this Frieren. Most of last episode was also spent on the same thing. So this has been building up for several episodes as this major climactic battle, and that there is like a weakness of Frieren's that can be exploited. This gets the audience thinking, what could this weakness be? Let me think back to what I've seen from Frieren and what might tip me off to it. Or as Fern is telling Frieren to walk over and she casts her spell, you're like using all of your brain cells to try to figure out what about that scene as everyone's gawking goes, so that's it. You're trying to keep up with it, right? You're trying to use context clues to figure out what it is that they realized. Whereas the thing they realized is actually invisible to us. It's not something we could have figured out. Again, out of context on its own, this is not a bad idea. It's cool that this is kind of a reveal about this idea that mana detection is active. One thing that's hindered by the fact that that's not actually explained here. I need the comments to tell me that. And two, even if it were explained, this is a climactic fight. They've been building up this reveal about what her weakness is, about what it could be. And when it's actually shown, when Fern attacks Frieren, we get several seconds of multiple characters being surprised, being like, whoa, what just happened? Or, whoa, that's how it happened. The stronger characters are noticing that, which is a nice little hint. But it's just the idea that we couldn't really have figured that out. Even as characters are reacting to it and realizing what it was, we aren't able to figure it out. We almost literally physically aren't able to. I think that's kind of a shame, because it's kind of disappointing. It's not very satisfying that this big fight, this big build up to what is Frieren's major weakness, is something we weren't privy to. Knowledge that we A, weren't privy to, and B, could not have figured out in the moment until it was explained to us. And that's just a little disappointing to me. Now, I'm open minded to this. Like a lot of my complaints about Frieren and about things that have happened before, things I don't like initially about the demons, you guys were very generously and very patiently willing to explain to me what the intention was and how I should shift my perspective. And I've grown to appreciate most of them. I think the only things I really have to complain about Frieren right now are some things that I'll mention after the end of the season, but mainly just like animation bits and like weird shots, and that's pretty much it. And they're few and far between. So I'm open minded if you guys want to explain this further, like why this actually does work in your mind, and I'm open to being convinced. But as it is right now, I think this is my first major like plot and structural gripe, I suppose, about the show. I don't like it. I don't like how this big fight, even if this isn't the climax, even if next episode we get an even bigger climax, this is like a big moment. This is fighting and defeating a Frieren. This is finding out that Frieren has a big weakness. And it's not something that we could have been shown. It's something that we had to be told. And I just think that's a shame. But I want to move on from that scene to something much more positive. I want to move on to the rest of this comment, the first two parts about it, I should say. Zedia's flashback, which this is a perspective from Zedia, isn't it? Even though it's not explicitly shown, and like we don't see Zedia like sitting in her throne and closing her eyes and remembering this, the implication is that it's hers because we see little images of a child, Flamma, and only Zedia would have seen that, right? Out of the people here. So the implication, and it's not told explicitly, which I really like, is that it's from Zedia's perspective. Once you take that into consideration, the scene becomes even more impactful than it was before. There's already these little moments of Zedia's mask slipping, her facade slipping, that she really did care more about Flamma than she lets on. And that she's holding a lot back, right? She has a lot she wants to say, a lot of image that she wants to present, but there's clearly a lot more going on behind the curtains. Then as we reach the cliff scene, we get from Horak gives us a great little description of the symbolic meaning of basically the character acting and the choreography, if you would, of the scene. And it's nothing mind blowing, right? It's nothing generational defining. It's nothing that's like breaking the boundaries of choreography and of symbolism. There's a sunrise. One character walks towards it, they turn away from it. The other character walks past them towards the sunrise. The sunrise, of course, represents a new day, right? Tomorrow, the future. Walking towards the sunrise is facing towards the future, while turning away from it is looking towards the past, is perhaps being trapped in your own nostalgia, in holding on to tradition, conservatism, if you would. So, how does the scene play out? Well, Zedia initially looks over into the sunrise, right? Talking about how the world is changing, how they need to be ready. But then she stops and turns around to address Frieren. She looks away from the future and looks at Frieren, who already back then, but especially now, represents the past, right? Represents a bygone era. And I suppose even a bygone era intermingling with the future. So Zedia is turning away from the present, from the future. As Zedia turns away from the future, from the new dawn, Frieren steps forward and passes by her, looking towards the future and saying that she's looking forward to it, literally. And it's, again, nothing groundbreaking, but it's powerful, right? Because in its simplicity, it is effective. It shows you that Frieren is forward-facing, is future-looking. Zedia is reluctant to welcome in this future because she likes things as they are. It's very representative of the two elves, as Horak says here. And I think it's really great. It's again really simple, but it's not so in your face that you can't not notice it. At least not for most people. At least not for me. I didn't really think about it. That's why I didn't bring it up, which is why I appreciate Horak bringing it up here. And it's in that I want to pivot this conversation towards talking about this choreography and symbolism. I think it's a really powerful tool that we don't talk about enough, because there's a lot that gets said through things that we often take advantage of or don't give much thought, right? Like I said, just simple thing of walking forward or stopping and then turning around. Simple character actions like that tend to mean things. They don't always mean things. Maybe just they're just walking like through a hallway. But in a scene, in a show that is so symbolically focused, and especially in a conversation talking about the future, then yeah, walking forward is moving into the future. Turning around is hesitating, right? Looking back at the past. these are easy connections to make, and many could argue that like you're overthinking it. It's not that deep. I would argue that what do you gain from that? What do you gain from writing this off as not that deep? Well, I can tell you what I gain from thinking it is that deep. I can tell you that I gain a newfound appreciation for the scene. I can argue that I appreciate the presentation of the themes in the dialogue through the character acting. I don't see really the point of saying it's not that deep. You don't really gain anything from that, where you have so much to gain from the alternative, from looking more into these things. So I really like that. Even if it's something simple, it's worth bringing out because there may be people who didn't think about that. I was one person who didn't think about that, despite me generally looking at things like this and looking for things like this. And once you start changing your mindset to think about symbolism and character acting and choreography, you start to see a lot of other things that are very, like, they're just very matter of fact and things that you don't need to, like, have a degree in choreography or in creative writing to understand. If a character is mumbling while they're walking in a circle, then they're probably talking themselves in circles, right? If you have two characters that are walking towards each other, then pass by each other, they're probably trying to come to some sort of understanding, but missing each other, right? Little things like this that are very simple, that are not super complex, and yet they're powerful because they enhance what's being told through the dialogue and what's being told in the story. It's one thing that's so special about this visual medium, though it's not limited to it either, is it? I can easily say that, as I've been saying to you, Zedia walked towards looking towards the sunset. She turned around and faced her friend. Her friend walked forward past her, looking towards the sunset. Not a visual medium, boom, I just described it to you. As long as you are able to describe a choreography to somebody else, you can use this symbolism and you can enhance your story. It's something that's powerful, and even if people don't realize it, even if they don't talk about it, like I didn't last episode, I still found the scene enhanced, right? It still affected me, and it's probably why so many people really like the scene. There's a lot of comments here saying this is one of their favorite scenes of the show, even though Horak was the only one to actually break it down. And that's because you don't need to be consciously aware of these things for them to have an effect. A great example of this, something that I'm worse at than I like to admit, is leitmotifs and music. And Sumknown, if you're watching this, if you're watching my JJK reaction, Sumknown is one of the original and most active members of the IPPC who, especially recently, has been making musical analyses of the OST of JJK, Jujutsu Kaisen, and they're really interesting and really intricate, and they're also unnecessary. I'm not saying that to say to roast him for his comments. I'm saying that to say that if you have like a leitmotif, a reoccurring string of notes, or a theme, a character theme that gets mixed into your tracks, you don't expect the audience to catch it, right? It's something that is almost designed to be unnoticed. Even though if you do notice it, it's not like it's a wrong thing to notice, right? But it's about the subconscious effect. It's about you, without being aware of it, associating that string of notes, that melody, to this character, to this feeling, to this theme. That's what's so cool about leitmotifs, and it's why I like trying to train myself to catch leitmotifs, because even though I don't need to, because the whole point is to affect you subconsciously, I want to be able to appreciate little things like that. So Horak's comment here just reminds me again to pay attention to this choreography, to this symbolism, and to appreciate it, because it's yet another thing we can appreciate about a show that's really good and really worth appreciating. I just don't see the downside to that. So yeah, this flashback is really powerful and really good on just so many levels. So it's no wonder that so many people speak so highly of it. And I just wanted to make clear that when I was talking about it last episode, how I was unsure about it, how it could be jarring, I wasn't referring at all to the content of the flashback. It's a phenomenal flashback. I think the only thing that really held me back on it, and the thing I think it could have been improved upon, is simply the scene following the flashback. I think it's just the pacing of it that's a little bit weird, and it's like very abrupt. If it were either a little bit longer or a little bit more focused of a scene that of Frieren blasting away the Frieren clone, I think it would have been a lot better. Would have like really stuck the landing. As it is, it did stumble a little bit, but the performance itself was so good that I really can hardly complain. It's more of a nitpick than anything. But yeah, thank you, Wow Horak, for leaving your comment. Thank you everyone else as well. I read every single one, and they're all quite good. So thank you all for participating. And if you want to be the comment of the day for the next episode, go ahead and leave your comments in this video. Whether it's about this comment of the day, whether it's about the episode I'm about to watch, or something I say that you agree or disagree with, or just a clarification you want to make because I misinterpreted the show, because I do it all the time. Go ahead, leave your comment, and if it's the one I most want to discuss before the episode in this prep, then I will do it. And I'll bring it up here, and we can all laugh at your ridiculous thoughts together. But that's neither here nor there. That's separate from the episode. Go ahead and do that if you're interested, but with all that having been said, I'm not going to waste any more time, and we are going to get into the episode. One final thing before I get started. If you want the full unaltered version of this reaction, it's going to be on Patreon for $2 a month. Gives you access to all of my reactions. If you don't, then the reaction's still full. It's just going to be a little bit visually and auditorily altered just to avoid copyright. So check that out if you're interested. But I'm going to put that YouTuber housekeeping out of the side. We are going to hop into Frieren, Season 1, Episode 26. It is the pre-penultimate episode. We will see what happens. Human mage. Sure enough. Cool, going straight into the opening. But we did get I think that was a different perspective. Obviously a perspective from Frieren with that scene. I feel like that was different from how we saw in the episode, a different perspective. I could just be crazy, but if so, then that's cool. I always like when they do that. Almost near the end of this opening, which is really bittersweet. I'm really excited to see the Season 2 one, but it's going to be really sad to say goodbye to Sunny, to Yodoshika's Haru, because I absolutely adore the song. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. I hear the next one's really good, but is it really going to be Haru good? Maybe. Maybe it will be. I do like how Ubel and Lan scenes are side by side in the opening. They're super cute. I wonder if we'll probably get more Zedia in this scene, but I could have sworn this this first class exam was 3 tests long. And if so, I don't know if we have time for a 3rd test. There's no way that Season 2 is going to continue the first mage exam, right? I must be forgetting something or getting something wrong. Oh, also a little detail of... Oh, wow! Little detail of them using, like, larger magic, because before Frieren said, for mages of this era, you only need simple spells. Oh, the super low frame rate of the Rocks movie. How did they get working on this? My god, of course they had to give us a little bit more of this fight. They just weren't satisfied with what we already had. Oh, I've seen that before. Where have I seen that before? Have they done a similar shot like that earlier in the series? A golem. So is this before Fern did her attack, or did she survive it? I assume it's before. Yeah, it's gotta be before, otherwise they would have shown it. God, they were holding out on us last episode, even despite everything they did. Or not. No, she did take it, huh? Yeah, it's keeping an eye out for you. Okay, so this is just a continuation. Yeah, because even Frieren wouldn't fall that easily. Hey. Here's the Lawina clone. Converging on the center. Okay. Yeah. The greatest advantage that we have is that we can strategize. Of course, they're entirely focused on defending the creature. Ooh. Nice. I love how casually he just bent down. Wow, it smells tough. Surviving that physical attack. Yeah, Victor's strong himself. Don't celebrate till it's over. But yeah, it looks like their strategy is paying off. That's what happens when you all work together, right? Reservation? We still haven't seen a Denken clone yet. Oh, and that was the one that should be close by. Because the guy who was injured just came from a hallway, so he should be able to tell them around where to find her. Yeah. Because that's most likely the basic, final boss here. Zenza's clone. It's just, in this case, Frieren is even more powerful. That's part of the test. It's one of the reasons she came along, right? Really think that wasn't intentional? Piddle. Yeah, she's just a first class, come on. Oh, very peaceful. No! Not bad at all. Yeah. Oh, yikes! People really gotta stop getting stabbed in the torso. Oh my god! There she is. Yeah. Yeah. And if you can't heal, that's not something you should play around with, because you're gonna bleed out quickly. That is brutal. Just a web of hair. I wonder if it uses it like a web where it can detect when somebody touches it. Hey, glad you guys could make it. I don't think any of us can. Except maybe Frieren. No, but we have to keep this thing in check. Go ahead. It's not a linear scale. It's all about matchups. I don't know how you plan to, but I mean, I guess with her slicing, she can probably deal with the hair. Rail Zaiden. Very fitting with the core of magic in this world. It's all about perception.
防御魔法って魔法を防ぐためのものだからね。切れるイメージあんまりないんだよね。
Mm-hmm.
そうか。ならどちらにせよ前座には通用しない。あの紙には観測できるだけでも防御魔法に匹敵するほどの魔法が何重にもかけられている。
Mm. Makes
だから
sense.
そんな理屈はどうでもいいんだよ。これはイメージの話なんだから。
So as long as I don't see it as a defensive spell, I can cut through it.
やっぱりソルガニールは効かないか。まあ、髪ってのは体の一部だからね。
Yeah. That's the whoa, that looks cool. Doc Ock stuff.
やはり私の複製体の相手はユーベルか。勝敗はすでに分かっている。おそらく戦いにすらならない。
That's so.
あれは2年前の2級魔法使い選抜試験だった。その第二次試験の試験官を担当したのはブルグ1級魔法使い。彼は1級魔法使いになってから一度たりとも手傷を負ったことがないほどの守りに特化した魔法使いだった。不動の街灯。彼が魔法で作り出す街灯はあらゆる攻撃魔法も通さないほどの防御術式が組み込まれていた。第二次試験の内容は街灯をまとったブルグに受験者
Full transparency, I'm pretty sure I know how this scene ends up. I think I've seen this like in a short, like months before I started watching this show. If you've been watching all my Frieren reactions, you probably know about this. As soon as Ubel was introduced, I was like, wait a second, there's a scene I know from this. I've seen before. So I'm pretty sure I know where this is gonna go. Yup. Slice them straight in half. Because it doesn't matter about how much defense you actually have, it's about how she perceives it's how she perceives it. That doesn't look like it's very defensive, so I can cut through it easily. I mean, you killed the proctor, so... But also, that's quite powerful. And yeah, this is what they were referencing before, right? When she killed the first class major proctored the exam. I had a feeling that's what that scene I saw was. Well, I had a suspicion.
それともそういうのは魔法で全部やっちゃうのかな。いやね、私も不器用だからそういうことはしたことないんだけど。
Okay. Slicing her and also showing her reflection. Very nice. Cute little baby Ubel. Slightly less present Ubel. And that's all his cloak is. Cloth. It's all about perception, right? Really? イメージ。So same thing goes with hair. That's why she's confident she can cut Zenza. Because hair is meant to be cut, right? Easiest thing in the world. But cutting Zenza herself, or her clone herself, shouldn't be so easy. She's just not worrying about that. Just not thinking that far ahead. Or just don't get in your own head, I should say. It's that simple, right? And also you gotta be a little crazy, which Ubel certainly is. So yeah, there's a couple screws loose in her that she can actually go through with something like this. And it works out. Makes her terrifying. Yeah, quite a powerful imagination. That is a really interesting point, though.
あ
Definitely worth talking about.
ところでゼンゼさん、綺麗な髪の毛だね。手入
You
れとか
probably don't cut it very
大変でし
much.
ょもしかしたら私はあの
Nice.
時点でもう負けていたのかもしれない
Hmm.
ユーベルには勝てるイメージが湧かない
Interesting.
相性が悪すぎる
That's so cool. So it was the other way around. It's clear who's gonna win. You think she's talking about herself, but
みん
no.
な頭を使いすぎなんだよ、
Mm-hmm.
髪は切るものでしょ
That's so cool. That's so cool.
髪の手入れ地獄だよ考え
Yeah,
たことない
obviously. All of that hair must be so much shampoo.
いいのに
What an awesome scene. What an excellent scene. Really diving deep into Ubel.
はいそうです
It's so great because it's not like diving into how she thinks, it's how she doesn't think, right?
話は早いですね
Keeps so much mystery around her.
あらたった今
Ara, ara.
複製体が撃破されたようです
Too many aras, but you get the point.
仕留めたのはユーベル三級魔法使いですね
Now she's killed 2 first class mages.
そうか
Effectively.
結構相性悪めだろ
He's still thinking in terms of scissors.
ただし
Doesn't quite work in Japanese, but same idea.
複雑で難解なじゃんけんです
それで少しでも使える手数を増やしたいってわけだいいぜ複製体の足止め手伝ってやるよ俺は他人を信じるような太刀じゃねえがケツを振っている勝ち馬を逃すほどバカじゃない
It's interesting how these guys are just kind of hanging out here. Maybe they're taking a break after fighting their whole team.
複製体は2体そのうちの1体デンケンさんの複製体の場
Okay,
所は特定
so we do know where that one is.
あなた方はそちらをお願いします
Yeah, that one's gonna be quite a
もう一体の
handful.
フェルンさんの複製体に
Oh, that's right, and Fern has a replica too.
あの子は
Oh, that's terrifying. That is actually terrifying.
さすがに見つけ出さない
Yeah, she's a fucking assassin with quite a lot of power and insane speed.
一人の方が魔力探知に集中
Mhm.
できますあの子
So it's not that it's better, it's that I don't really have a
私は
choice.
多彩なので足止めだけは得意な
But she is very powerful, so.
それに
Methode.
高速魔法が通じることは本人
Oh. Oh, that's adorable.
よしじゃあ人暴れするか
Adorable.
ユーベルこれってさ僕の見間違いじゃないよね
だろうねだってメガネくん
Oh, jeez. Wait.
私の複製体が復活している
What? Oh, that's not good.
これってもしかしてシュピーゲルとやらを
How much energy does that freaking Spiegel have?
消耗戦だ楽しくなってきたね
You're kidding me. This is gonna go for the rest of the season, isn't it? Holy shit. It's not a battle of attrition, it's you gotta get to that frickin' Spiegel. This just got so much worse all of a sudden. That was cool. Like, return. There she is. She's aware. Good. Oh my god, and they're chasing after that. Oh! Oh my god, the purple and red looks beautiful.
隙もダメだな今の
It's unbelievable. Who came up with these colors?
やっぱりやるしかない
Like, it's moving so quickly, too.
魔力探知の隙だけじゃ殺しきれるほどのものにはならないね
It's not to kill.
もっと大きな隙があれば勝てるのですが勝てるんだね
Are you confident you can win? That's what matters here, right?
できるのですか私が隙を見
This is a nice little first-person POV with a little shaky cam, too.
それではフリーレン様が防御に集中すれば致命傷にはならない では
You can really see the uncertainty and on Fern's expressions. The animators had way too much fun with this scene. It's not even funny. Because you're my student. And this OST coming back in. Good lord. How much more of this can they throw out at us? The like distortions of reality. They've been waiting so long to make Frieren the antagonist. Just so they can show off this ridiculous animation. Freaking galaxy blasts. Whoa. This is the first time we've seen Frieren injured. Okay, got a good hit in. Jeez, she's fast, but Burn is faster. Is that Fiend? And before they just create a new one instantly. Yeah. Is it gonna still keep fighting? Whoa. What an expression. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, jeez. Not the staff. What? It's like just pressure? She like just... Don't tell me she's like hiding the mana of her attack or something. That is incredible. Guess it was last-ditch attack. Demon Lord, I presume. Looks like Friend's okay, thank goodness. That was not a fun attack. There we go. Okay, yeah. We've got to deal with that thing. Whoa, those layers are cool. Oh, like pulsating energy inside of it. Yeah. There we go. Okay, now we're done with the test. Now we're done. For real this time, I swear. I mean, this time he gets the piggyback ride, right? Didn't give it to him last time. That's a big-ass treasure chest. Nope, he's still carrying her. Oh, what a great, like, just blink and you'll miss it gag. Oh, poor guy, he still gets to be carried, and he's just hovering. That's so great. I love that. They like passed out. Oh, of course. Of course there were. Why-yo, kurai-yo. Why are there mimics in here? I mean, why not, right? Why not? Oh, really? That's amazing. These golems are something else. Okay, that was a pretty phenomenal episode. It was a pretty phenomenal episode. Might have been better than 24, reluctantly. I'm not just saying that because I gasmed like 20 times. Oh my god. Oh. So what do we have for the last two episodes of the season, I wonder? Because there's no way we're building a bigger climax than that. There's simply no way. Never gets old. Ooh, more Zetia. There is a third test, I knew it. And with that, we finally, truly, and fully finish the second test. For real this time, I swear. That title for next episode is really exciting, An Era of Humans. Obviously referring similar to the flashback, and I wonder if this is going to be... the clone's healing. It's so cool. I wonder if this will actually be Zetia meeting with Frieren herself, or if this is going to be, if that's going to be something that's still further down the line. This is another flashback. Maybe building out the idea that I suppose Fern kind of embodied in the first place, brought up the idea of the era of humans, thanks to Flamme. And my god, this episode is just full of so much utterly mind-boggling animation. Like, I don't even have the words for it. This is really interesting. It's a really cool effect how the main, like, magic frickin' black hole thing, like the orange black hole, the singularity is on ones. And yet the rocks are on, like, 6, 8 frames. They move once every 8 frames. There's 3 different layers of movement here, which creates this really cool 3D effect, and also this unnatural, uncanny effect of this scene that seems to almost be breaking physics. The magic on ones, Frieren herself on 2s, which is typical for anime, while the rocks are on frickin' 8s. And we jump over to this, like, super low on the ground as we're, like, following these rocks as they break apart and move, swirl around the battlefield. God, there's just so much. The freaking, like, horizon, I guess lens flares are just extensions of the magic, like the ripples of it. It's just absolutely phenomenal. The rocks almost look like clouds. You got this eyeball of an eclipse, and the sparks coming out of it. It just looks phenomenal. Look at that. You can barely even tell what you're looking at. All you can tell is that you are just not ready to witness something like this. Not really understanding what's going on is kind of the point, right? It's just overwhelming power. Jeez, even the dust clouds, all the shrapnel flying out of it, look just amazing. Frieren just looking terrifying. Her shields come up behind her and she blocks the attacks. She creates a freaking golem to stand on. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Meanwhile, Fern's looking around waiting for an opening to attack, but turns out she's continuing to block it because she's wary, right? She's still Frieren, even if she's copying her mind effectively. She's still Frieren at the end of the day, and she's going to be wary of Fern, naturally. Then we step outside to see how everyone else is doing, and we find more of the clones, and we do more strategizing of how we're going to defeat them. Obviously, don't want to generally just fight yourself, but we have quite a lot of people, and we have the element of surprise, because we know they're pathfinding their way here, so we can use that to our advantage to locate them in strategically planned groups and deal with them accordingly. This is almost too easy. Famous final words, Lafen. Famous last words. So this is an interesting scene here. Methoda notes how she's detecting fewer replicas than test takers, which is already strange because, if anything, test takers should be taken out, right? So there should be more replicas than test takers, if not equal. You could argue that the replicas were being taken out, but they point out that there's people like Zenza, like Denken and Fern who they can't detect. And I think the last one is really the big hint for it. And I think it's kind of just the answer to it that isn't, I don't think it's explicitly stated, but I think the implication of this scene and the point of it is that they're also hiding their mana, right? They're also sneaking around. They're being smart, which is especially worrying about someone like Fern because she's so good at it that even Frieren can't find her, right? This is just great juxtaposition. Is this not a kind and truly peaceful test? Stabbed through the torso, sliced in half. Good, we dealt with them. Stabbed through the torso, also stabbed through the torso and stomach. A very kind and peaceful test. Lovely. Lovely. And yeah, the fact that this scene follows the we can't find them, it's like they're hiding, right? Hiding to a point where you can't even find them through the mana detection, which means that they're quite advanced and quite skilled at utilizing their mana and at suppressing it, right? So thankfully they get out of here. We get this really cool shot of there's things that are behind it, which they look like threads or they might be light, but it gives the image of like little spider's threads, right? Like she's in her own little web, which supports the idea of like not having any openings. The idea that she's using it like a web, she's using it as a detection system almost. Yet another use of her hair. This is great. Is this necessary? Well, you see, what we're doing is I didn't ask what we're doing. I'm asking if we need to do this. Yes. All right, I'll take it on. It's kind of silly how these people are so focused on like who's stronger and who's weaker, and it makes sense. And they really like doing these shots with Ubel, and I'm not complaining at all. It makes a lot of sense because it's not just that they're saying like, oh, their magic is bigger than yours, right? Especially with like Dengen, who's incredibly experienced. It's more about the idea that like they're on such different levels. This recent third class mage versus a first class mage or a copy of one, they're on completely different levels. Even if Ubel has killed a first class mage before. So it's not just about her magic is bigger than yours. It's like you are completely outclassed. Even if you think you can cut her, she has these defenses. She has all these things that you are aware of. So even with the visualization, like you should not be able to take this on. So don't put yourself out doing it. On the surface, it invites this knee-jerk reaction of, oh, these characters are saying you can't beat them. Oh, you don't stand a chance. And naturally this sets up like, oh, she actually will beat it, right? It's supposed to be about the surprise. And also it seems kind of juvenile. Oh, she's stronger than you. You're weaker than these other people. You can even defeat them, and they weren't a chance for this. Like, implying this very linear power scaling. But that's not really the point, right? The point isn't that they're saying you can't defeat her in this linear scale, it's that you are outclassed. And, like, reasonably, it's not just a general, you can't beat her, you're not weak enough. It's, there are too many defensive spells, you can't break through it. And they talked through her like, you can't break through normal defensive spells, right? And she's like, yeah, probably not. I don't see how I can break through them. Well, this is on a whole nother level. So it's reasonable. And it actually disarms your, or at least my knee-jerk reaction of, oh, that's kind of ridiculous. Why are they saying this? It just feels like they're setting it up for her to beat her. Which they are, but like the way they do it is very convincing. And it's something that's worth praising. Little note how she tries to use the, oh my god, this is so cool. This like Doc Ock climbing around as she charges towards her. It's so threatening. But she tries to use the restriction magic, the constraining magic, and you can't do it because you need to see all of her hair, right? You need to see their entirety. And oh my god, this is so cool. It's like they attach a GoPro to the tip of her hair. There's just so much in this episode that's just absolutely phenomenal. And then we finally get to the scene that I've been waiting for this whole time, and it took so long. I thought this was originally, maybe I shouldn't do this for YouTube. That works. I thought this was like going to be part of the third test or something. I guess thank goodness it's not, because that probably means it would have been somebody she was fighting against, one of the test takers, and we kind of know most of them by now, so I'd rather not any of them get cut in half. So before I started watching this, like well before it, I think I said months, but I think it's actually been years, I saw a short of this. And it was a scene of her walking through and like slicing them in half and then cutting to her explanation. I didn't pay attention too much to that. I thought it was just really cool. She sliced him in half. It was super cold. She's super hot. And I kind of like left it at that. So when she was introduced, when I'm actually watching the show, it's like, I'm like waiting for this scene because I remember it because it's ingrained in my head because it's a freaking crazy scene. I think what I really like about this is that it doesn't really matter that I was spoiled on it. You know how this fight's going to end out, right? You know what's going to happen here. Whenever somebody is being built up and they're setting this up like this is impenetrable, it's crazy, and you have one person who you know a lot less about, ironically, you know more about Ubel, but this person who's like power, her ability to cut through things, you know less about, and she seems unconcerned. Like, the setup is the pulling the rug, right? Obviously, she's going to obliterate him, and no one's going to understand what just happened. So you kind of know how this is going to play out. It's a script you've seen 1,000 times. And it's trying to basically set up the idea that Ubel can take on this person who she shouldn't be able to cut through. So it's a pretty one-to-one. It's pretty obvious how this is going to turn out. So I don't think me having seen her slice him in half before really takes away from the scene, because it's supposed to be surprising, but it's also predictable. And it's supposed to be. And what Frieren is so good at, and what this is so good at doing, and what I really want to talk about here, is the idea that spoilers aren't as big a deal as we make them out to be. There's this ridiculous notion, especially in the modern, like in like the 2010s, maybe 2020 especially, that spoilers are the worst thing since moldy bread, let's say. Spoilers are horrible. They ruin the experience. They ruin the story. Well, I hate to tell you this, but if a story gets ruined by a spoiler, it's probably not a good story. Because a story is more than the reveals. It's more than the moments, right? It's about what they mean. It's about how they play out. It's execution. Execution, literally, in this case. Also, the fact that this is a first-class proctor, and we heard that she killed the first-class proctor in one of her exams, like, yeah, we were spoiled, right? We were basically spoiled. If you connect the dots, you know she's going to kill him. And I have already seen the scene. So in a way, I'm in a similar position. I've just already seen the actual scene before. Admittedly cut up in a short. The point is, it doesn't matter because it's still effective, right? You still get this moment of, oh my God. And you also get the context is the most important part. Even if you'd heard that Ubel slices a first-class proctor in half, it doesn't really take away from this scene. It's really cool. I didn't notice this before. The fact that it's her younger self in the reflection. That's great. Remembering her knitting days, or days watching her older sister knit. But this doesn't take away from the scene, because even if you knew she was going to cut the guy in half, you didn't know the context. You didn't know the meaning of it, the significance. The significance that it really is about visualization. And more importantly and more interestingly for Ubel, it's about that her mind works in a way that she can visualize slicing this in half because it's cloth, despite the fact that she knows, as an experienced mage, it has so many layers of defense that no one can pierce it. She's able to somehow separate these thoughts and just simplify it to, it's a cloak, it's cloth, cloth gets cut. That is really, really cool. And it's the context, right? That's the point. It's the context and significance that you don't get from a spoiler. That's why all good stories won't be ruined by, or I should say, no good story can be ruined by a spoiler. Sure, your experience could be changed quite a bit, but the actual significance and the impact of the scene itself shouldn't really be that affected. The story overall shouldn't be that affected. So yeah, the context of not only that she's going to probably obliterate this Zenzei clone, but the implications of what this has for her mind. Magic can't create anything the caster can't visualize perfectly. Just as a diminutive ant can't imagine stomping a giant dragon, hardly any mages can imagine penetrating that cloak and its impregnable magical defense. Any mage can tell at a glance that it blocks all magical attacks, and that's like his whole hype, right? That's his whole deal. It's his reputation, right? As long as people are intelligent organisms, we cannot escape those fetters. The fetters of observation, right? Of comparison, of I can't fight that, of the ant looking at the dragon. There's no way I can cut that. This person has a reputation of being impregnable. How am I supposed to pregnate them? That is not the correct term. How am I supposed to cut through them, right? How am I supposed to break through it? As long as we are intelligent, as long as we think, as long as we compare, as long as we take limited risks and manage our risk to reward, there's no way you can perfectly visualize slicing through something that is known to not be sliceable. It's the idea of the greatest strength also being your weakness, right? People think, and as long as they can think, that limits this world of magic that's about visualization, because you can't choose what you think. That's one of my favorite revelations of therapy and of psychology recently. The idea that you can't actually choose what you think. You can only choose how you respond to what you think and also what thoughts you engage with. But if I'm fighting somebody who's dual wielding spears and I've got a pair of headphones as my only weapon, I'm not going to stop myself. I'm not going to be able to stop myself from thinking, guys, I might be outmatched here. You can't do that, right? You can't just choose, I'm not going to think about that. You can try to distract yourself and push that thought away, but you're going to think about it because you're thinking about your survival. That's such a cool, like, nuance and stipulation that makes perfect sense in this world of visualization, this world of magic. The idea that, yeah, you can't choose what you can visualize, right? We love this idea, like, from our armchairs here that, oh, it's a world of visualization. So as long as you have enough imagination, as long as you have enough confidence, you can do whatever you want. And theoretically, that's true. But in practice, our intelligence is as much a burden as it is a boon, because we don't get to choose what we can visualize. I can claim I can visualize growing wings and flying into the sky, but can I actually visualize it? Probably not. My logical brain will shoot that down as ridiculous. And as long as your brain can shoot that idea down as ridiculous, like cutting through an impenetrable cloak, that is a limitation on this world of visualization. And it makes perfect sense because it's just how it kind of works in real life too, right? So it's a great build out of this magic system that initially seems like it's got no limits. As long as you have unlimited imagination, you can do whatever you want. No, because you can't control your thoughts. Not entirely. That's just a really cool limitation of this magic. And the stipulation, the way that Zenza rationalizes this, that Ubel trusted her own intuition rather than focusing on her intellect, on the cognitive ability that I can't cut through this. She constructs a vision of cutting through the cloak according to intuition. It's not, can I logically cut through this? It's, is this something that can be cut? And she just focuses on that. She just visualizes, it's not this crazy cloak, it's just a cloak I can cut. She's practically controlling her thoughts, which is not like a normal person's, right? There's something off about that. There's something that, there's a cognitive control that is unnatural, that is unsettling. And for somebody who is as unsettling as Ubel, it's kind of perfect, right? And Zenza, the first class mage proctor of the first class exam, admits to herself that she can't imagine beating Ubel, this third class mage. And just like fighting that other maid, the first class mage, she walks right past Zenza's clone and she falls. You all think too hard. Hair is something to be cut. Oh, the lighting of this is so beautiful. Managing my hair as hell. You should cut it then. What a flex. What an absolute flex. Incredible. Just an absolutely phenomenal scene. Not just because I love Ubel, but just because it's such a great scene. And then other people are like, it's such a bad matchup. You don't know. It's all about the players. It's all about the minds. And Ubel's mind just isn't quite right. As one way of putting it. Oh my god, this is really cute. I want to see this again. Fern is just like melting. Fern's just poking her. It's so adorable. So adorable. So then we learn that the Spiegel can freaking create more of them, because why not, right? Why would they be limited to just doing one? So yeah, we're not going to be able to take them all out. We just gotta wait until the Spiegel's taken out. And then, oh, it's just so beautiful. It's, what the heck? What the heck? Who signed off? Who came up with this? Who presented this? And who signed off on this? And how do we put them in charge of everything ever for the rest of all time? It's absolutely breathtaking. And considering everything that came before it, the fact that they can keep one-upping themselves and show that's really not about the fights, but when it's time to fight, it's time to fucking fight. God. Oh, and I love this first-person POV too. And this is the interesting first-person POV because it's not used to build empathy with Frieren, right? That's basically impossible. It's not really used to get a grasp of the situation either. It's really just so we can see from, I suppose, Frieren's perspective, from someone who's in the room, Fern's uncertainty, right? Because there's some great character acting here to the point where it's so realistic and lifelike. The way that she's responding and the small little gestures, how she's worried about Frieren. It's just something that it's hard to explain, but through this first person POV, like putting ourselves in this room, you can really feel and connect with Fern, even though she's not the one who we're first person POVing. Oh god, the background, and then just a fireworks show. Just a fireworks show. You get the point. You get the point by now. You get the point by now. We'll be here all day if I frame by frame this entire thing. Oh my god. So Frieren goes on defense. She actually gets injured. I think the first time we've ever seen in the show. But that is the opening we need for Fern to attack. But then we get this absolutely bone-chilling expression from Frieren's clone, and she slams her back with this like telekinesis thing. I don't sense any mana. I'm not recognizing this as a spell. So this is the height of magic. But you're wide open. That's so cool. It's so cool. Like, it gets your mind racing, doesn't it? Is this like she's suppressing the mana of her attacks, which is why it doesn't trigger, it doesn't feel like an actual attack? Is this just like another level entirely where it's almost like plasma as like a state of matter, where it's something that's almost inconceivable because something you don't see in life? It's just this next level of energy. What is this? There's so many different ideas. It's like, what are we looking at? And we don't get an answer for it. All we get is that he hasn't used it in 80 years. Probably since fighting the Demon Lord. We know that was when the 80 years ago is obviously when the adventure happened, so it's presumably the case. And then we see this thing with really cool layers. There's this cool like magic-y like aura inside of it, which is really cool, but obviously it's defenseless on its own. So we deal with it, and the first test is finally over. And I love the little gag of, I forget his name, but the guy who fought Land before. He previously asked in the first test he asked Weirabel to carry him, right? After the Era did the same, and we had this where Era was on his back and he's like, carry me, and I'm just gonna float you don't rate it, and also my back is occupied. In this one, I didn't realize that Era was also down and out for the count. Yeah, I can't move another millimeter. Carry me. So I've got to choose who to carry. So of course, who am I gonna carry? Well, I'm gonna carry the little girl on my back because she's my little girl. She's my adopted daughter. And you just get like, it's just a blink and you'll miss it gag of, no, he's still floating. You're not gonna get carried by this commands. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. And speaking of gags, kudai, kawaii, these freaking gilded mimics. And she really doesn't want to blow it up this time because obviously people there, pressure there. The fact these can heal. Oh my god, she's super cute the way she stands and the way she talks. I hope we get more of her. And then we leave here, and it looks like the third test will be also starting next episode, so I'm super excited for that. If you're excited as well, then remember to subscribe if you haven't already to get notified as soon as the next one drops. And if you really enjoyed the video, please do like it, because it shows me that you enjoyed it, and it shows the algorithm that people are enjoying it, so it'll show it to more people, and more people can see my ridiculous, overthinking, stupid face, and then they can also join this community, and we can build out this community together. And don't forget to leave a comment while you're there. And join my Discord, by the way. I have a Discord. It's for free, but it is on Patreon. You just have to join as a free member. That's simply to filter out like potential spam and bots. I just don't want my link to be openly like on the internet. I want to at least have one layer behind. So join for free, and you get access to my Discord, the IPPC, the International Paragraph Production Committee. There's a lot of fun stuff here. A lot of stuff about the shows, but a lot of just crazy random stuff and little sneak peeks and little announcements and even bloopers that happen. So join that if you're interested, and I would love to see you there. But whether I see you in the IPPC or just in another one of my videos, or even on one of my posts, or maybe even one of my streams, got a bunch of stuff you can join up. Just take your pick. But whichever you choose, thank you so much for watching, and until then, have a lovely rest of your day.